a woman entrepreneur. Is it something new to this region?
We are not, just a shadow or something.
What is a brand for you?
Brand is the soul of a product and service.
The business is people to people.
It's not just the product, it's everything around it. Rethinking of retail is essential to survive.
Don't think of a product to sell, but think of, guess what?
Is it really that easy to make money here?
If you have a story that resonates with people, it will come to you.
A woman entrepreneur. Is it something new to this region, or particular Saudi Arabia? What is the story, maybe you can tell us, that was take us long back time
Well,
ago?
let me take you to the first story I've met. And the first story, I believe it was an introduction for entrepreneurship for women. So there was one class where we hear about stories of Muslim history and Islamic history in general. And there is the story of Khadija radiallahu anha, we call her the mother of Muslims, and she is the first wife of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she was a rich woman who have her own business, and she hired the Prophet to work for her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I remember hearing this story as young as 9 years old, and at that time you wouldn't think much of it, but you would assume it's normal for her that she have her own businesses and she's hiring the Prophet, and then he marries her, and then he run the business on her behalf. So this was the first encounter, I believe, with businesswomen in history. And this is something that we learned at a young age. So there is a lot of examples from the region before even the existence of Saudi, and after that, story of brave women who fought against other militaries and lead their tribes or nation to the win. There's great stories that is in the history there, and we were lucky to hear them and grow to see them, and take them as an example and an inspiration for us. There is a lot of misconceptions and misinformation about women in the region, and I think over the last few decades things have changed, and even foreigners understand more that we are not oppressed and we are not just a shadow or something.
That's the thing that I've heard recently that shocked me, that one of the lady was doing the lecture and said Arab women dress in black because they're shadow of their husbands.
Well, I don't want to say anything, but maybe she was misinformed. She didn't have enough information. Yeah. Maybe she didn't visit even the region to see how women are leaders already.
Yeah.
So, she might need to attend a few courses.
Oh, maybe listen to our podcast also.
Yes,
and then
so she can clear that up.
This part of the world has incredible leaders. They're not just people who dare just to do something for themselves. They're truly people to lead their tribes, to lead their countries.
Yes.
And I've seen
nations to the success and prosperity. And
absolutely. And I am always surprised by the women also in the governments.
Yeah, I think the support from the government and the leaders to women's sector and this empowerment that we see in the last few decades have changed women and set them ahead of many women in the region. I'm talking about Arab regions and other developing countries. So this is a huge step for everyone, and I wish that we can share more of what women have been able to accomplish, whether it's as a leaders in the government or as a leaders in private sector.
What is a brand for you?
Brand, it's image, it's personality, it's identity. Any products, any service must have all this. You cannot be Nina if I cannot describe your personality. You cannot be Nina if I cannot describe your belief, your souls. It's the soul.
Yeah.
Brand is the soul of a product and service. Without this soul, it's just nothing. It's just something solid on the table.
Brand strategy is your long-term plan of how you want to develop your brand. It's based on your business strategy. As you take your company and break it into small pieces, you understand your product, you understand your audience very well. You need to understand the market you're going to launch with. You need to understand your competitors, all the market dynamics and all ecosystem that you want to create. And then you put it back back, and then based on that, you create your vision, your mission, your purpose, your values, your beliefs, your value propositions, your marketing plans, your HR plans, your financial plans, your innovation, and so on. Everything. It touches all aspects of your business.
Branding and brand strategy is a business development.
Yeah.
I think that's the foundation where you built your whole corporate on.
Yeah.
Because as I said, it's the social responsibility, it's the mission, it's the vision. Everything has to go into the orbit of the brand itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I cannot go to the market or I cannot do business if I don't know who I am. If I don't know where I'm going, all the roads are the same.
Storytelling in strategy plays an important role now. So strategist is not the person who just put the strategy and formalize things, but they also a storyteller. So the same thing with our brand strategy, right? It's also a beautiful story after you formalize it. And that helps people internally to believe in it, to be inspired and go, not just for the customers to feel part of this movement, but also for people internally to be inspired.
And that's what I started saying, that how many times all of us just bought things without comparing. There might be other things which are much better in the market. There might be other things which are much even cheaper. But we never do this comparison because we are obsessed by a brand. This is the power of the brand. We just go and buy it.
A lot of people think, the brand means that it's something very expensive.
No.
But it's not. It's that you willingly want to pay premium for it. You're willingly paying for it above the average price on the market. And you do it because you believe in it.
Because this brand has managed to reach out psychologically to me.
Absolutely.
This brand has understand, what do I need? How do I think? How do I buy?
Absolutely.
So if your brand strategy can fit into these stages of a consumer behavior, definitely the consumer will end up with the nice box of your brand on his table.
Absolutely. And they will buy it again and again and again and ask others to buy it also.
It is super, super essential for startups, at least if you don't have the financial capabilities now, but have the mindset. Have the mindset to know that I need to do a brand strategy. Yeah. Maybe after the launch, maybe after a year, after two, but have the mindset, believe in it, embrace it, understand it. It is a must for the business.
I believe, Nina, today the business is people to people. It's human to human rather than organizations to people. So what's happening, people follow people. And what is proven already and approved that some clients, they would follow from one brand to another one, not because they switch preferences, but because their staff or the sales associate, they left one brand and they joined another one.
I think that, how do you want them to remember you? It's a very powerful statement that says it all, that it's not just the product, it's everything around it. Do you have any cases, interesting cases that you're currently working on?
I do. I will not disclose the names of my clients, but yes, we can talk about the product, or we can talk about the services, or we can talk about the food, which is product itself. And when we think about French luxury cuisine, right, and what it embodies, it's not only about what you eat, but it is how you eat and how it is served to you. So you don't go to the just restaurant, and which is a luxury place, just to have a nice steak, right? Or you want to be cherished, you want that this person will explain to you and will put you in the dream of how it was cooked, from where it was done. He will tell you the storytelling about this piece of meat, that you could actually also have at home, but he put you in the ambience, in the envelope of the French, and you have a taste, you have an understanding and the feeling that you travel to France to eat that steak, So how it is created? It is from the moment that you enter to the restaurant. It's the music that you hear, it is the temperature, it is the sound of some music that you would listen in Paris maybe. It is how people will accompany you to the table. It is the suggestion of the wine that they will give you together with your dish. It is what the moment that they bring it to you, how will they serve you, the gests, how they will look to your eyes, and what they say to you, and with which tone they say you. All those moments, all those points, they create an image about the brand, and that will play a final. Will influence your final decision for the next time if you will be back or not. Because a piece of steak you can find in any restaurant in Dubai, but it's what it is going behind that, beyond that piece of steak, actually matters more. And that's what I'm working on how do you embody your brand, not only through your product, but which is going together with the colors, music, and all what the clients create in emotion together with the product.
I think people like changing these days.
Exactly.
That feel of loyalty, it's quite hard to earn by the company, trust and that loyalty.
Exactly.
And then asking them to refer to others, so that the referral.
And the word of mouth, right?
Word of mouth, absolutely.
That reflects, like, if 10 years ago it was one unsatisfied clients bring you 10, we'll talk to 10 people, to his friends and family. So if he's not happy, that affects your brand loyalty. Now with the social media accounts, it's multiplied at least by 10, you can. So really, I believe that product is important, but then how the brands actually embodies, and that's what I'm working on to build the customer experience on the space, to be positioned and to be remembered in the right way by the client, and to drive your traffic back, to drive your clients back. And that's what actually improves your customer satisfaction and finally your turnover in the end. So if we would put the KPI, your sales, that's how you drive sales, through the customer satisfaction.
You go and see hundreds of products, right? Hundreds of brands. How do you know which one to choose? How do you know that this is the product over, that you want for your company, rather than those 10 that are also available?
$1 million question, right?
And then we know all the secrets. And
ta-da! Success story. Well, as you said, dozens, hundreds of products being released on a daily basis. And nowadays, the market is so overloaded, is so saturated by everything. So to really find the gap in the market, whether it's a product or a service, because at the end, the same approach applies throughout. It's really a treasure hunt. And you need to have that vibe, that enthusiasm, that passion, but at the same time, a great structure to be successful. Don't think just the product. Don't think of a product to sell, but think of, guess what? The story to tell. And that's what I kept telling my buyers whenever, even from the moment I was recruiting them, during the interview process, because it is a process. The buyer is not a shopper. You don't shop for what you like, right? Buying, it is a highly structured environment. You have to think first and foremost of your client's needs. So identify the needs and then think of what product will solve that needs. So provide a solution. That, and I'm getting goosebumps, that is what gives you a successful product. So obviously you need to understand who they are, who's your customer. There's so much that goes behind it. That's why we need a structure.
I don't know if you feel, especially here in the Middle East, the whole rethinking of retail for local brands, I'm not talking about the rethinking of from the trader mentality more to the brand building mentality, value creation, I think is essential in order to survive.
What changed, not only the market, but even the client. So the client nowadays is more and more savvy. It's highly educated when it comes to product. Yeah. They tend to come to the store. They tend to land on your website already knowing what they're after, because they've seen it on social media. They've seen it on TikTok. I see it even just my own daughters. They're so highly educated on everything.
The whole thing is how important is to have an idea, or what is more important actually?
Yeah.
To act on it.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that, because I have a lot of people who come to me and say, "Oh, you're a co-founder, so whose idea was it?" And I'm like, well, it was my business partner. I've never really been an idea person. I'm a doer. Like, if you give me anything to produce, I will get it done. no complaints, head down. I'll find a way. I'll get it down. I'm a hustler. Let's put it that way. So I didn't feel, and I feel a lot of people will tell me, oh, but I wish I had an idea so I could do something. An idea is really, that's it. It's an idea. Unless you bring the team around it, unless you get the right team and the right traction around it, and you have the right story to your brand, nothing will happen. It's just an idea. How many times do you hear people say, oh, that idea, Facebook, I thought of Facebook 5 years before it came out. I thought of Google 3 years before it came out. And I was like, yeah, okay, we all thought about it at some point, but it's irrelevant who thought about it, who actually made it happen, because that's where the work really comes into it.
Is it really that easy to make money here and to meet millionaires who are ready to invest?
I mean, listen, if you have a good idea and you tell your story in the way that it resonates with people, and it doesn't matter if I'm telling my story to a consumer or I'm telling it to an investor. If you have a story or have a brand that resonates with people, it will come to you. Yeah. They will come to you. You will start looking, and then they will start coming to you. We've gotten small injections of cash into our business to launch it. We are raising again. Once your story comes out, then people are interested in hearing more, But as we said, anybody can have an idea. So at the end of the day, if somebody's going to come and invest in us, it's really going to be about Sprout as a team. Who are the people behind Sprout? What can they do? And why should they believe in us? So you have to pitch the brand and the story, and then you also have to pitch yourself, because at the end of the day, you're raising your hand and saying, this is the idea, and I'm the perfect person to do it.
What does really drive you? I mean, a startup is not so much money, right?
No, unfortunately. Not yet.
Not yet.
That's just to creating an impact and really making a difference. I think when you find something you're really passionate about, I have found that it's so easy. When I talk to people about Sprout, I find that they kind of gravitate towards me. Not me, but the idea, and then I realized like a year into it, I was like, this can be really big.
It was, I think, in Arabian business, the idea of that for women entrepreneur is still difficult in the Middle East to deal with the investors and raise money. I haven't had that feeling, to be honest. I don't know, maybe it's the type of people I spoke to. But did you feel that? Do you feel that?
I do, definitely.
You do?
Yeah, we've been in some very uncomfortable, awkward situations where we have had to either defend things about Sprout or defend things about ourselves, which 100% would have never come up if we were male.
Like, can you share
like parenthood. Like I'm very involved with other women entrepreneurs in the region too, and startups, and just we'll meet randomly every now and then, and you'll hear some of the stories that they get. But I mean, I've been asked questions, but this has happened to me also on interviews, not necessarily only with investors, to be clear. But I've been asked, so what do you do if your baby gets a fever? And I said, I don't know. What do you do when your baby gets a fever?
Yes.
How do I? There's no right or wrong answer. So I'm gonna let my baby fry. Is that okay? I will be here. Like, what is the right answer? You know?
What is the right answer?
I don't know. I have 3 nannies. Like, there's no right answer.
Don't worry. It doesn't bother me at all.
I don't know how to answer that question. There's no right or wrong. And also, it would never, ever have been phrased to a man. I mean, that's just one random example. But there has been tidbits where I think, especially because most of the investors are men, it's really interesting. But I find that as a challenge. Like, how do we get them to see our side? Because at the end of the day, we're 50% of the population. So at some point, somebody has to sell to us, right? so it's really about, if you can persuade somebody like that to get on your side, I think you're solid. You know, not beg, again, not beg, not please, I can do this. It's more like, this is the story. This is why Sprout was created. There's a reason behind it, and there's a huge market waiting for it, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's no reason, there's no doubts there. But I have found it to be a little bit more difficult here to be in business than other areas of the world where I've worked.
That's a great advice. You know, yeah, you could be asked all kinds of strange questions, but if you know what you're doing it for, where are you going with it, you have a strong business model behind it and the character, why not?